This movie.
So today's topic
Finally.
is Satoshi Kon's 2006 film Paprika. It's based on a novel of the same name.
Oh.
By Yasutaka Tsui. Yeah. Who is, a pretty big name in, Japanese lit, more modern lit.
Neat.
Science fiction novelist. And the whole Paprika was, written kind of like in the olden days, back when, you had a book, and instead of, just publishing the book, you would, release a couple chapters in, a magazine or something, and then, a couple months release the next one.
Oh.
Yeah, serialized fiction.
Yeah, it was a serialized book that then became a full book.
Oh, he did The Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
Yeah, he did the novel of that, too. Yeah, he's a sci-fi guy, he's pretty loved among certain literary people in Japan. And this book was up for adaptation by a lot of people. And when Satoshi Kon approached him, he was like, okay, yes, this guy knows what to do. Because also logistically, it would be an incredibly hard movie to make, because at the time, the technology just wasn't there if they did do it in live action and with CGI to make it what it needed to be. Now they probably could do it, but...
I'm actually looking at the wiki article. Somebody was going to do it, and then Inception came out, and they're like, eh.
Oh, no, after the fact. Hollywood...
in 2010, some guy got the rights to it, and...
Wolfgang Peterson.
Yeah, and then...
He was going to develop it in 2010 and start making the movie, which was the year that Kon died. But because of Inception, which is essentially an Americanized adaptation of this film, kind of. It's kind of like...
Only kind of, because it's just objectively not as good.
It's not as good. It explores a lot of themes. It's a lot of... There's a dream machine that lets you go into dreams, and there's they explore things like recursive dreams and stuff. And there's some shots that Nolan ripped off a couple of shots.
It was a lot more Hollywood, and everybody who was like, "Oh, this is you're not good. This is I don't understand this movie." I'm like, "What? Literally, what are you talking about? This movie has an ABC plot."
I mean, it's the most. It's so Nolan.
But
because
the top
Nolan
at the
movies,
end, I'm gonna smack you.
I know, when me and Nikki went to the theaters to watch it together, the lady who sold us our ticket was like, wow, I've already seen it 5 times, and I was like,
I mean,
what?
Are you expecting it to keep going? Do you think that the projector guy just cut it off too early every time? This time he'll get it. This time he'll remember. I tell him, but I'm too awkward. I'm new here.
So the
I don't hate it. For what it's worth, I don't think Inception's a bad movie. I think it was, like everything Nolan's done, really overrated, because it seems really impressive at first, and then as you think about it, it's like, no, that was actually pretty fucking bog standard.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's a bad movie. It's
Every single movie I've seen of his, which, isn't all of them, but I've seen a handful of them, and, I'm always, super entertained, and then, an hour later, I'm like, oh, wait. Shit. Huh. That doesn't work. Oh, fuck.
So, the basic premise of both the novel and this film is about, a research psychologist a team of research psychologists who develop a machine that allows therapists to enter their patients' dreams, presumably to help with therapy, and something goes terribly wrong. I just want to give, a quick summation of what the film is about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because sometimes we forget to do that, and we go talking for half an hour, and people are like, you never told us what the film is about.
Yeah, sometimes we can do that with Spirited Away. Here, this is not as much of a staple film.
Yeah.
But I really want to know what your guys' first impressions are of the film, before we get into the nitty-gritty.
Tucci, go first, because this is the first time you've seen it, right?
Yeah. Animation,
obviously
the first thing I noticed was how beautifully it was animated, and that was especially, that's doubly impressive for this film, because it's one thing to, animate something really well and realistically, but it's another thing to animate things realistically that blatantly do not exist. Just make the most surreal type of, in some cases, body horror-esque visuals, look really like believable and fluid and like it's all cohesive and well done and like I was talking about before we started recording, like I followed everything pretty well. I was expecting just something completely obtuse and one of those movies where it's like, oh, you know, it doesn't matter what happened, like, how'd the film make you feel? And it's like, that only works sometimes. Yeah,
no, Satoshi Kon's never that obtuse.
Yeah.
People say that he is, but if you really watch the movie, he makes things very clear to the viewer without
like
being patronizing.
The most, like, the most obtuse thing, and really it was only that because they saved it until the end, was, you know, what was Paprika, the titular character's deal. So, like, I was expecting, like, nothing. I was expecting the film to end and, like, the character, because, like, sometimes there's movies where by the end of the film, the characters understand everything clearly. Like, you can tell by their face and what they say, but, like, the movie forgot to tell us. And you're just so, okay, well, I guess it all wrapped up. I have to take their word for it. But, like, no, they were like, nah, this is Paprika's deal, which we'll get to, I guess. So yeah. it was super fun. It was entertaining. I dug it.
Yeah, I really liked it too. I was kind of overwhelmed by the stimulus the first time I watched it.
Very stimulating.
Also, I was watching it with my entire family, and I always get really antsy when I watch anime with my mom and dad.
No, this one has boobies.
No,
this one has sexual body horror in it.
Because it's weird and confusing, and this film in particular is it's dreamlike. You know, it's about dreams. And it was a lot of stimulus at first to digest, but, like, after a while, it was like, okay, and now I see what was going on. And again, what struck me was the animation, not just how good it was, but how much it made the movie better. Like, he was really using the medium to increase the story and do things with the story that you couldn't otherwise do. Like, a lot of people say about Satoshi Kon's work, since it is kind of more realistic in the way that he draws his characters and the environments that he presents, more or less. A lot of people say, why doesn't he just do a live-action film? And this movie is, like, a really good example of, like, why animation is special and how it can do very specific things that other mediums can't do necessarily as easily or as believably or to the same extent. Because it's, like, it plays with space, like the 2D and 3D space, and, like, melding into one thing, melding into another thing. Where's the background? Where's the foreground? What is this character? Are they, you know, like the scene towards the end where Paprika jumps into, like, a poster, and becomes part of the poster. Like, that's super cool, right? And it's something that would be very hard to do in other film medium and have it work as well as it does and feel natural, because since we're working with a flat space, like, you can just do that kind of stuff, and it's just gorgeous. And the music, I love the music so much. It was so cool.
Yeah.
This is the second time I've seen it, and I actually although this family owns it, because we got it for Nina. Nina has it currently, and I wanted to watch it in HD because I know what I'm getting into, so I actually rented it again on Amazon, which is, you know, worth the $4 goddamn. My opinion,
it's an experience.
My takeaway from it was very similar because it had been a while. I'd forgotten most of it. Like, I remembered it as I saw it, but, like, you know, I do think it is an obtuse movie. It's not unbearably, but like, the movie really hits the ground running with the story, and you're catching up from there.
Yeah.
That's the most jarring part of it, I think.
Yeah, so, like, you're kind of always in that mood of, like, okay, I'm
running.
Yeah, trying to always catch up with it. I think that, you know, certainly, like, if we're talking about, like, how the movie makes you feel, it's great. It's great in that respect. It's thematically very strong about, like, the imagination, and the endless world of possibility that comes from dreams, and in a more abstract sense, cinema, which is what the whole thing is a metaphor for. You know, I do really, really dig it. Again, like, the visuals are, there's so much cool, great stuff you're going to see in this. The music is great, especially, like, Paprika's theme and the parade theme.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah. That parade, like, I can't get enough of watching that thing.
Yeah. But, like, there's that moment, like, in terms of, like, this movie confusing you, when the chief first goes on, when he gets, stuck in the dream and he goes on that crazy parade rant, there's a moment when you think that the subtitles are broken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's a Mad Lib.
Oh, yeah.
Is what's happening. And it's not, but it's not like a funny one. It's just like a word salad.
I love the way that moment was paced, too, because it's like, at first you're like, am I the one who's confused? But then slowly the other characters indicate that they also have no idea what's going on. Like, I like how it's got this slow, like, reveal of what's happening in the situation.
Even give a basic plot summary of what's going on so people can be on the level. Because here's the thing, even if we spoil this movie, it's still worth, going out and watching.
Yeah, there's honestly nothing, like, there's no, like, reveal, kind. I mean, there's one, but it's like, it's not about.
It's like, might as well.
Well, I meant reveal in, like editing terms or cinematic, not, like, plot reveal, but just, like...
Yeah.
But yeah, this film starts off in a kind of future, modern... whatever, near future, where we have something called the DC machine, which is, again, it's a psychotherapy machine that you attach to the patient, and it allows the therapist to see inside of their dreams and see what's going on in there, see if there's anything that can help them with. And it almost, like, it turns people's dreams literally into a movie. You can just
they open it in like Adobe After Effects and like look at the video.
Yeah. And they're working on an even more advanced version called the DC Mini, which is a portable version of the machine, which would make it more it's something that they could sell to other like hospitals and stuff, and
Google,
kind of open the possibilities for this.
It looks like a Google. It looks like a Google Glass or something. Yeah,
it's kind of like a Google Glass. You would put it behind your ear, and some flippy flappies go on your head.
The Apple iDream.
So, head of the team working on this, the treatment aspect, because there's different parts of this team. There's the director of the project, there's the creator of...
Yeah, the engineer.
The engineer, and then there's the psychological treatment director, who's, pioneering how this can be helpful and why this is worth everyone's time. She's our main character, and her name is Atsuko Chiba, and she really believes in the product, so much so that she's been illegally using the machine during off-work hours to help individual patients who need help. And, kind of doing it on the down low, renting like a love hotel or whatever, not to do sexy things, but to explore this treatment like in the field, even though she's not supposed to because the device hasn't been like officially whatever.
Right.
And we get introduced to her alter ego before we get introduced to the real woman herself, actually, named Paprika. And Paprika is sort of like her dream avatar.
Her Mary Sue O.C.
Yeah, kind of. It's like a different aspect of her personality. Like, I read somebody explain it where it's like, Paprika is the person that she thinks that she is, whereas Chiba is the person that everyone else thinks that she is. Because there's a lot of identity stuff going around, because there is this kind of, like, idea of split selves, obviously, because she has these two sides of herself that seem like completely different people, but really are one. The movie actually opens up in a really crazy dream sequence of Detective Toshima Konakawa, who is plagued by a recurring dream. He's in the middle of a murder case. He's not getting anywhere in the case. It's really bothering him. He keeps having these dreams. So, she's trying to see if she can help him out through the counseling. And then, we get introduced to the rest of the staff. There's the engineer of the DC Mini, Dr. Kosaku Tokita, who's this very overweight guy.
He's a man boy.
He's a man boy, but
At
not
first-
like in an annoying way. He's just very childish and innocent.
At first, I thought he was supposed to be American
Eh.
until they dropped his name. He's like, well, he's fat, so
Yeah.
and he's got real big eyes.
Dr. Toratoro Shima is the chief of the department, chief of this project. He's this really small man, kind of a goofy, fun guy. He believes in his coworkers. He believes in the project. He believes in the treatment. He himself was a patient of Paprika, and he knows about Paprika's thing. He's the one who told the detective about her, and it's all like a secret or whatever. The things get bad because a DC Mini is stolen from the facilities, which is especially bad because they're prototypes. So there wasn't any sort of what would you call it, like in computer terms?
What do you mean?
Something to keep it from getting like connected to the network, like
A
keeping
proxy?
It, like yeah,
Firewall?
yeah. There's no like
What?
it's access restrictions. There we
Yeah.
go. There were no access restrictions on the device developed yet because they're prototypes. They don't really need them. They're not mass produced. And that's a huge problem that it got stolen because that means the person can essentially use the device to enter anyone's dreams and do anything they want. We're dealing with the subconscious here, and this film is very trenched in psychoanalytic theory and practice. So the head of the whole facility, who doesn't like the project to begin with, is like, you guys done fucked up. This is terrible. Man should not approach the levels that they can't understand and blah, blah, blah. He's this codger, annoying guy. And we immediately start seeing the effects of this, unrestricted access where randomly in the office, Dr. Shima, his brain becomes hijacked somehow. And he starts having this dream that is an insane person's dream, and it drives him crazy, and he jumps out of a building, and there are other people in the office who will get this dream. It's almost like a disease.
It's like a mimetic
somehow.
disease.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, shit, this is really dangerous and bad. And the dream itself is like this parade.
This is the parade we're talking about.
It's like a big toy parade.
It's a parade of what I think the idea is like all of the shit you could dream about is in this crazy parade while this dope song plays, and it's like all this shit that's not supposed to be moving, and they make it move in a real cool way, and a bunch of creepy dolls on there.
Yeah.
Tucci
Madness.
Tucci made a great tweet about that. What exactly was it?
Watching Paprika. Scary doll, scary doll.
Well,
and then I ran out of
the
characters.
dolls get worse. But yeah, I read that it might be a reference to the Japanese Demon Parade, which is a collection of just weird stories. Because Japanese weird stories aren't they don't call them horror. They just kind of call them, essentially the translation is strange or weird stories. Those are what we would think of as ancient Japanese stories. And this was just a collection of weird stories about one day this guy went fishing and he caught a mermaid and he ate it, and then
Isn't that weird?
Children grew scales and died or something. Just those kind of weird myth
It's like
tale.
the
You're out of the
equivalent-
Midnight Society.
Yeah.
No, they literally had that. It was a practice where it was
What
called
if
the 1,000
all the air
tale,
in the
or
world turned into
100
wood?
stories. I'm trying to remember what these things are called, but where they would sit down and light 100 candles, and they would take turns telling these weird stories. Some of them scary, some of them not, and then they would douse the candle for each story, and the whole idea was when they were all gone, some kind of supernatural entity would happen or whatever. So it was a long, long time ago.
But yeah, I'm reading up on this the night parade of 100 demons, the Yaki Yagyo. It's basically a giant yokai parade, and like it reminded me of Pompoko, because they did that in Pompoko too. They shapeshifted into a big demon parade. Yeah. It's a great movie.
This dream is crazy and out of control, and it's taken over people. And it's seriously going to harm the reputation of this facility and the possibility of this technology, which they've invested so much time and money and energy into, being released. And they're trying to like keep it an inside sort of thing and not let the government know about it yet. But it seems very clear that the theft was an inside job. It was the only way someone could have stolen it. And they believe it was stolen by Tokita's assistant, who we never really see in the movie. We see his room, his creepy house. Huh.
Creepy face.
We see his creepy face. We see
it's
some
superimposed
of his
onto
creepy
dreams. And his fucking collection of creepy dolls. This guy sucks.
He had some questionable reading material.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the other. He definitely had dude on dude porno.
Yeah,
I believe it was called Hard Boys.
Yes.
I hope it was about gay people solving mysteries.
So, they're like, okay, we gotta find this guy. They explore his house. Reality and dreams are starting to mix a lot. People who have had a lot of experience using the DC Mini are kind of starting to lose track of what's going on.
Including Chiba.
And they sort of figure out that there was an amusement park that Tokita and his assistant grew up with, like an old abandoned amusement park. So they're like, I guess that's as good as any, because Chiba gets like a weird dream vision while she's in the dude's house, taking her to this park. So she's like, okay, I guess that's a clue. I almost jumped off a building by accident, but well, okay. They find his body there. He's pretty much dead, or he's a vegetable. He's had the machine attached to him for so long that it's fused into his skull. Like his skin grew over it. It was really not good. Oh, and then there's Osanai, who is this other doctor who's kind of got the hots for Chiba, but he's kind of an asshole. He comes in later. Yeah. And then things get kind of crazy.
Basically, when trying to enter this dream and trying to track down the source of it after they realize it's definitely not Himuro or whatever his name was, they've realized it was actually the chairman of this hospital, of this institute. And he's got like this whole thing is his dream, because what he's trying to do is like, science and technology have no place in dreams, we need to purify dreams, so I'm going to use this shit to fucking murder everybody who's with my dream, and I'm gonna be the Dream King.
It's 'cause I want to walk!
He's wheelchair bound, and in dreams anything is possible, and he feels like he's superior, and he wants to become this great dream ruler, because if you control dreams, you control reality, and like...
He wants to be the dream shogun.
Yeah, he just thinks he's hot shit, and it's his job to fix the world or whatever. And he has stupid justifications for what they are, but they're all blithering nonsense.
Yeah, he's clearly just not all there. He's not.
No. I mean, a lot of stuff happens. Like, Tokita tries to go... He uses the machine to try to see if he can talk to Himuro. Since Himuro's a vegetable, he gets trapped in the dream himself, so he's trapped in there.
As like a toy Robobot.
As a toy Robobot.
Living the dream.
And then, like... Konakawa, the detective,
as it were,
yeah.
Also somehow, like, he's having a session with Paprika, I think, because Paprika has this online lounge where you can talk to her, because the internet is also a dream, I guess. And there's a fun cameo there where the two bartenders in that lounge are both played by Satoshi Kon himself and the author of the original novel.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah. Apparently it was a surprise even for the actors. Like, when they watched the movie and saw the credits, they're like, oh, we didn't know you were in the movie. That's so cool.
I actually watched the dub.
Oh, cool.
It was, some performances were better than others overall, like, because, like, at first I didn't realize there was a dub, but then in the middle, like, towards the beginning of the movie, I was like, oh, there's a dub, I'll just watch that so I can, like, do other shit. Though I was paying attention to the movie 90% of the time anyway, because it's a beautiful fucking film. But like, but before I watched like the dub 100%, I kept the subtitles on and compared them for a minute, and I was like, okay, it's not a 1-to-1. Like, the subtitles aren't just the English script, but also they're saying the same thing basically. So, all right, they seem to have done a good job. So let me just watch the dub.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I gotta check on my phone cats. They're tenacious.
Oh, those guys! Oh my god.
They're quick. You gotta get them. They'll eat and run.
So Konakawa's there. I don't remember how he gets there. He has this spiel about movie making because Paprika's still trying to help this dude out with his problem, and now that there's an extra crime going on and he already has a relationship with the facility, they're asking for his help, sort of on the down low, since he's a professional, while also trying to figure out what his own deal is, because he's got quite the deal that keeps getting in the way.
And he's got like this preoccupation and this aversion to movies, despite the fact that his dream is more so than anything else in this film really takes a lot of cues from movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have a list of all the films that his reoccurring dream
the final
references.
scene, like, that shot is one of the ones ripped off in Inception. That hallway.
Yeah.
It's the same hallway.
Or the scene where Paprika is like that broken glass.
The broken glass in the reality. Yeah. Those are really the two only shots that are completely yoinked from this movie in Inception. And they're really not that similar, except for like the dream machine thing and those two shots.
Yeah. Like there was also a Scrooge McDuck comic that had a dream machine in it, so like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not... I still have no idea if it's actually ripped. Like, is it actually ripped? Do we have proof? Does anyone know for certain, or will he just never admit it?
I don't know.
I don't really care.
Well, Christopher Nolan has admitted that he was greatly inspired by Satoshi Kon as a director.
At least he wasn't as bad as when Tarantino makes movies.
Yeah, like you know, there's a lot of argument about where the line of homage is, and maybe this one fits on that. But, yeah.
Anyway, the films that Konakawa's dream references are The Greatest Show on Earth, Tarzan, From Russia with Love, and Roman Holiday. And it like literally jumps from one famous scene of those films to the next in like crazy fashion, and multiple times, but in different contexts throughout the film, as like, because everybody's dreams are merging.
Yeah.
In this place.
Yeah, he literally just sees. Like, he goes into, like, the dream movie theater that they come back to every now and again, and he sees, like the dream that Paprika's kidnapped in on the other side of the screen, so he just fucking pushes through the wall, and, like, it's got great stuff like that in it. Just everything is possible. Everything. Not anything, everything.
It's dreams.
It's dream.
And, by extension, cinema.
Yeah.
God, now I'm just remembering that scene where he, like, the really shitty fuckboy, who was, like, a fuckboy from the jump. Like, I was not surprised at that heel turn. Like, freaking puts his hand, like, underneath, not even her flesh, like, just, like, her being. It reminded me of the fucking scarab beetles from The Mummy.
The other dude, yeah. I thought you were mentioning when Konakawa was, like, putting on his film hat, like literally he dressed up as Kurosawa and started talking about angles and shots and editing techniques for just like 5 minutes in the movie.
Oh yeah, that too.
I was like, okay, Satoshi Kon, I get what you're saying. We're in a movie theater talking about film techniques in a dream world. I get it. Like, you know, there are other scenes that are pretty blatant, like when the chief director, not the head of the whole department, but the other guy, Shima, is like driving in a car and they're like talking about what's going on. There's a scene where they're talking about how, you know, the nature of minds and dreams merging, and Kon cuts to like a visual of like rain on his car window, sort of
that was
two
dope.
droplets coming together and joining into one.
I loved
and
that.
And then, like, zooms back out to the conversation.
That was so good.
Yeah, like, he gives you these little hints about, like, to make things a little easier to digest. Because he's a good filmmaker. Obviously, he likes film, and he knows how it works. And what it does. And then I love when, like, Konakawa's dream just becomes, like, this... He just becomes this Hollywood action hero, you know, saving Chiba because of the crazy shit that happened to her.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
and
there's
it just,
all
like,
these
keeps
Kurt
going
Russell...
and going and going, and it's like, oh, man.
Yeah, it's a little... Because it's, like, it fits in the type of films that dude, like, that character is a fan of, but, like, that whole sequence was just, like, dude, I... Remember in the first act when this woman had agency? That was a fun time.
Yeah, I mean, it was just the one part where she needed help.
Yeah,
because...
I don't know. It's because especially then when everybody's cheering and then he like goes for a smooch, like he gets smacked, which he deserves. But even like, and it was funny. But like, I don't know. I can't help it sometimes. I'm just like, eh.
Yeah, I know. I mean, Osanai really did a number on her though, because her biggest
that was insane
weakness is her inability to reconcile the different parts of herself.
Yeah.
And she has a lot of repression going on of, like, who she is, who she wants to be, and how she feels. And, like, Osanai, like, literally, like, peels off the paprika skin.
That was so gross.
That protective layer.
This is a sexual body horror scene I keep talking about. He's got her pinned down, and he puts his hand over his groin and then pushes it through, like, her skin, and then moves his hand up her torso and then like
through like over like into her face and like stretches her face out.
Yeah, like she's a bug and he's removing her like
exoskeleton. He's like forcing a shed. Yeah, and Chiba's in the middle. It's not a good scene to watch with your mom.
No, it is not. And then it gets even worse when the director guy, the chairman, comes and, like, becomes part of Osanai's body and is like, what are you doing? How dare you touch this woman? And then all these...
tentacles.
Because the chairman has this thing with, like, tree root tentacles, and then he's, like, grabbing her and, like, shoving the tentacle down her throat and, like, gonna kill her, and it's like... No!
Like, I've seen that exact shot in much less reputable anime.
Yeah.
Mommy,
exactly.
Mommy, please don't look at this.
Yeah.
I was like, Mommy, no. Mommy.
And then, like, her tits are out for a bit, but that's tasteful enough. That's not the bad part.
And then she wakes up and she's like, okay, I gotta go back in the dream. And Shima's like, you can't do that. It's insane. And she's like, I have to. Like, this shit's going out of control. I gotta save Tokita. I gotta save everybody.
I'm in love with this man boy.
Yeah.
He's so huggable.
He's so huggable. Eventually, you know, Konakawa figures out his deal. And apparently his deal was that when he was in college, he wanted to become a filmmaker. Big surprise. And he had a partner, a good friend of his, and they made a movie together. And something happened. They lost touch. They stopped being friends.
He got, like, too scared.
They went their separate... Yeah, he was too scared to go on to be a director. So his friend tried to stay in film. He went and became a police officer. His friend ended up dying of some disease. And he had this guilt in his heart about it. And for some reason, it was coming up whenever he was working on this case of this homicide. So he figures that shit out, gets his mojo back, saves the day. But now, dreams and reality have completely merged. Like
at the end of the experimental film video.
Yeah.
Exactly like that. Wow. Reality and fantasy have merged and everybody pogos.
Like the creepy doll is just like bursting through glass with her terrible laugh.
When the doll's giant and is like looking through them through the big like overhead walkway and it just like vibrates up closer to them, I'm like, why'd they animate it moving like that?
Chiba and Paprika can exist at the same time. Like, everything's gone to hell. Tokyo is under attack by madness.
Like,
the chairman has become this all-powerful shadow dark man.
Was the destruction, because some buildings got fucked up, and, like, at the end of the movie, when everything's fine, like, the skyline, you can still see the damage, I think.
Yeah, because it really happened. Dreams and reality merged.
Yeah, but come on. What?
but what? Presumably, those businessmen died when they jumped off.
I mean, I knew that was happening. Like, what I was interpreting as was like everybody was having a shared waking dream, and I figured when it was all up, everybody would wake up and like their pants were down or something. It's like, oh fuck, well, like we were just kind of.
Everyone's having a waking dream.
Yeah,
and they do shit when they wake up.
What did they do?
There's going to be
what did they do that caused a crater in the city?
Well, she fixed the craters. Just a lot of the buildings were still broke.
She destroyed that dude. I don't know where he went, but he went away.
As long as he's gone.
To be.
Good. He's an ex-dude.
I'm going to get to that, because that's really thematically important.
Yeah, that's what I want to dive into, because I feel like I'm at least 3/4 of the way there.
They're running around the city, everything's insane. First, they're following Paprika, because she seems to know what things are. And Chiba and her don't get along. You know, Paprika's sort of egging her on and being like, why do you gotta be the way you are? Why do you gotta be such a stick in the mud? Why can't you admit your feelings? And so Paprika teams up with Shima and Konakawa and just kind of tries to assess the situation. Whereas Chiba, she goes to the giant robot mad version of Tokita that exists in this dream reality merge world. And finally has her, like, moment where she's like, I will admit my feelings. I will do it. Hooray for me. And it's actually really sweet.
Yeah.
Like, it's super sweet. And that she's in love with this guy.
Yeah, because, like, I don't care that you're a big, fat dumbass. You're a fun dude, and there is a brilliance in you that...
And you have so much passion for the world
so
and innocence.
Much. You're full of passion.
Now, there's
Jam-packed.
There's a scene where they're at a restaurant, like, the goof is, like, he orders a bunch of entrees. But one of those entrees is paella. Can you imagine eating paella and then eating anything else that day?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing I like about the film, is that every character has a fucking complex, right?
Yeah.
You know, Shima, he said he suffered from depression. Konakawa, he has his anxieties and his guilt. Chiba has difficulty placing her identity in her world and admitting parts about herself she doesn't want to. Tokita obviously has eating problems, which must stem from other issues of his, and he's kind of...
And really, like, we've made more jokes at his expense than the film has.
Yeah, no, the film was very kind to him. He's a really lovable, sweet character.
I love him.
Yeah, I don't like making fat jokes. I just think it's really crazy to want to eat paella and anything else at the same time. But,
he's so polite about it, too. The waitress comes, paella, and he's like,
me. Hey.
That's mine.
And he's
like,
also got,
okay.
like, a thing where, because of his, like, childlike nature, he doesn't really adapt to the situations around him. He wants to stay in his world with his own goals.
Yeah, like, he doesn't really exist in the same reality as everybody else, because he's such a child genius man that, like, his whole perception of how things work is in a totally different realm. Like, the whole reason why he made the machine was this really ideological, innocent thing where he's like, wouldn't it just be nice if we lived in a world where we could share our dreams with the people we care about? Like, that's why he made the thing, because he's that kind of guy.
His goal was not to make it like a psychiatric thing.
Or to make it money off of it or anything. He's just like, I want to live in a world where we can share our dreams.
I want
rainbows and flowers
where we can share our dreams, and I can go into your dream and you can go into my dream, and it's that we all have fun and hug.
Exactly.
I love Percy so much. I think my favorite moment, like, there's a lot of great Percy. We're gonna get into this, but like, my favorite moment was in the newspaper episode.
Yeah.
Would you like to read a?
Oh.
He's perfect. I love him.
Yeah. So he's he's a beautiful soul, but maybe not built for this world. And
the world's certainly not built for him. And I'm done.
Yeah. But, Chiba, they have a kind of a conversation where they sort of relive an event that happened differently. Like, it happened in the very beginning of the film, where we're first introduced to Tokita, and it's like he filled up the entire elevator, and, like, he can't get out of the elevator. He's stuck. And, it's so pathetic and sad, and she has to, like, pull him out, and it's really, like, you feel for him immediately, because it's like, oh, he can't get out, he's stuck.
I like how well designed of like a fat person he is, because it's like, I noticed it especially, like, when, I think like towards the end, when you just, like, close up of his face, like the way his face, like, the proportions of his face, like, eyes, nose, and mouth, and then, like, the rest of his head, you can see, like, the anatomy underneath, like, all the other shit on top of his face that's making his face bigger, but it's like, like, I don't know, that stuff, that the anatomy stuff, art-wise.
Yeah, I know what you're going for.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He's got a big head, but not a big face, because, like, his neck is,
like,
and his face are
when you get fat, your skull doesn't get bigger.
No.
Yeah.
And, like,
that's a different thing.
Paprika herself is almost like an amalgam of Chiba and Tokita. Like, she looks kind of like him a little bit, and there's some subconscious desire thing going on with there. But, Chiba admits that she loves him. They have that relationship. She can be true to who she is. And then, the other crew is like, how do we defeat this kaiju man?
Yeah.
This crazy naked
this shadow colossal titan.
I don't like it.
And Paprika has this sort of revelation about, like, opposites and mirrors, life, death, love, hate, man, woman. So she joins Chiba, and they finally merge and become one person, the true person that they are and that they're meant to be. And it's kind of like a spiritual astral projection.
And together they have a big enough power level to fight Frieza.
Yeah. And it starts as a child.
Someone
like a
laughed at that.
Child.
Someone listening. You guys need to watch Dragon Ball Z.
I know what that is, too.
We're trying to get through the thing.
Nah.
I'm trying to get to the
I won't allow it.
Okay.
Nah, go for it.
It starts as a child, and what she does is she starts sucking up the chairman. And every gulp of the chairman, she grows and matures. And the more she sucks up, the more of a full person she becomes. A full, mature person. And at the end, he's all sucked up. And it's just her standing as she is, huge, giant, standing over the city, just like this woman. And, I mean, I really like the symbolism here. Because it's sort of like, in order to stop this man and his crazy fucking masculine power fantasy, because that projection is essentially his dream, not just like a dream in his head, but like what he wants.
His aspiration.
His aspirations. It needs to be filtered through a woman. And it's almost like women are made to, like, eat all of men's bullshit, and by doing so, that makes them better. And that makes them stronger. Like, they balance out the bullshit with, like, not just beauty, but, like...
Listen, men are bad and women are good.
The end.
Kind of, but it's like the reflection.
Now go to sleep, son. What?
There was an imbalance.
Yeah.
And we needed this feminine power, and only a feminine power can defeat the masculine power. More masculine power is just not going to do anything.
Was that also
really
why
like
there was
that.
gay tones? Because he had no female aspects in his existence?
Yeah, I mean, there is some implications that he kind of... I mean, there was literally the line where Osanai was in bed with the chairman.
Yeah, and he was
and
like,
they
he
were
didn't want to
literally in
talk
bed
about it.
together. Yeah, and then... I mean, I read that the novel is a bit more
Explicit.
homophobic than the film. It was a bit more explicitly homophobic.
Well,
but I don't think that's what Kon was trying to do, because the whole thing with the assistant, Himuro, he had a crush on Osanai.
Yeah.
You know, and again, he's kind of a similar person to Tokita, and like he had a crush on this guy, and he stole the device for him because he asked him to. And it was really more that he was used than depraved or anything like that. And also, like, she becomes a dream eater. She's literally eating his dream. Like the Baku.
She gains her HP back.
Yeah. Because, like, the Baku is what Drowsy is based on. It's this Japanese mythological creature, dream eater creature.
Yeah.
There resembles a tapir.
Yeah, and it's like, she becomes a dream eater, a nightmare eater. She devours this nightmare and turns it into a beautiful dream of a fully realized person, as opposed to a mess of a human being. And it's really striking. Like, there's just the scene where it's just like the quietness where she's finished, and it's just her towering over and like the sky, and it's just like this marvel of womanhood or something. I don't know. But yeah, she fades away and things go back to normal. The dream ends, even though there's shit everywhere and everybody's like waking
What
up.
happened?
Like, what happened to my face?
Did they tell anyone? Like, how did they... I have to imagine they just don't say anything, because they would all be immediately arrested.
Yeah, they probably try to pass it off as a mass psychotic episode.
Yeah. Was it the whole world?
It kind of was, though.
Was it the whole world? Or just Japan?
I have no idea.
I guess it could be either.
Kon is never really interested in the pedantics.
That's true.
He's more about ideas than, like, plot holes or, like, you know. That's not what's important to him. That's not what he cares about.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, the day is saved. Chiba and Tokita hook up. The detective solves his crime. The chairperson is dead, I think.
Probably.
And so is Osanai. He got shot. That was...
Yeah, he got Matrix shot.
Yeah, he was shot in the dream, but then he was actually shot in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Matrix.
Which is pretty... like, I just expected him to die. Whenever that happens where it's like a one-to-one, where it's like, oh, a hole just appears in you. I'm like, don't. Just die.
No, I think he did die. He was bleeding.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, that, I like that whole... Like, it's one thing to die for... It's one thing to, like, oh, you know, your brain dies because it thinks it died, but then, like, if you get dream shot, like, there's no real bullet, so, like, your body doesn't react to your brain and pretend, and force a hole open in you.
Well, it makes sense in this because dreams and reality were intermixing.
I guess, yeah.
So the bullet was both dream and real, as it pierces his
like
dream and real flesh.
I think it was implying that they had played too much with the border between dream and reality, that they essentially lost themselves.
Yeah.
Like, almost their tangible being is just, like, lost.
Now you go down the hole.
Now you go down the hole. With this creepy guy.
Is Paprika basically gone at that point?
Well, they said,
yes.
I mean, but, like, they both, like, the detective and the chief guy were like, oh, she'll be back. I'm like, really? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, she might be back. I mean, Chiba reconciled this part of herself.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, they're kind of the same person now. Now it's not, like, too much of a split anymore.
Yeah, because it's like they were literally just two different people acting 100% of the time apart from one another, doing completely different things, living completely different existences.
Yeah.
She was just, like, that beginning montage of her just leaping around the city.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Is really neat.
My favorite part of that montage is when she's, like, in the hamburger joint.
Yes.
Yeah. And, like, the dudes are, like, giving her a hard time, and, like, the actual Paprika makes this face like, oh, ha, ha, ha. But then there's 3, like, window pane reflections, and each one's, like, a different progression of her, like, I am so sick of this shit all the time I have to deal with these assholes. Like, oh, it was like a perfect visual representation of what those encounters are like.
And the face she made was like the same face as the girl from Tokyo Godfathers made all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was looking up some of the voice actors. The woman who played Paprika and Chiba is Megumi Hayashibara, who's prolific as hell. Yeah. She is Ranma from Ranma 1/2, Ai Haibara in Detective Conan. She's Jessie in Pokemon, or Musashi as she's known in Japanese. Also, your favorite Pokemon, Nina?
Bulbasaur?
Bulbasaur.
Bulbasaur!
Apparently she's also Dratini in Dragonair.
Fushigi Dane is who I guess she plays. That's the Japanese name. She's also Faye Valentine.
Yeah.
Mm.
Probably her biggest anime role, or one of them, because there's a lot of them. But like, there's Rei Ayanami in Evangelion.
Yeah.
Yeah, this film was almost like a cast reunion, like, meetup of Evangelion, because the guy who played Tokita was also in that. I don't remember what he played in Avon. Not Shinji.
Yeah. And two, she played a One Piece character in one arc, Rebecca, the gladiator girl from the Dressrosa arc.
Yeah, I recognize her. I haven't gotten there yet, but I totally recognize her. Not the best design. She's literally wearing a metal bikini. But hey, it's One Piece. She was in War in the Pocket.
Oh, War in the Pocket.
She's Christina McKenzie.
For dubbing roles, she's been Batgirl in the Batman animated series, Sam Manson, Valerie Gray, and Danny Phantom, Diddy Kong in the terrible Donkey Kong cartoon. She was Mako Mori in Pacific Rim. She's Marcy in all the Peanuts specials. And she was Amelie.
And, like, a fun story about, like, the actors. Like, the guy who played Tokita, his name was Toru Furuya. And there was, like, an interview with him, Megumi Hayashibara, and I believe Kon as well, you know, promoting the film. And, like, some talk show or whatever. And like, talking about their characters. And, like, when Toru found out that he was cast in the role, that Kon, like, specifically searched him out to play this role because he'd liked his previous performances. He liked his vocal range. And he was like, he looked at the character and he was like, are you sure this is what you want? So he thought he was trying to, like, he had to make, like, some big, like, so, like, Kon was like, no, just talk how you normally talk. And he was like, okay.
Oh, yeah, Toru
Furuya
is another, he's a huge seiyuu.
No, he's huge.
Yeah,
he's
Gundam
a big deal.
And shit.
Yeah, he was the first Gundam player. He was Amuro.
And he's Tuxedo Mask.
Yeah, that's a funny robot trivia fact. Because in the Super Robot Wars franchise, where they get a whole bunch of robot series, mecha series together and write the worst fan fiction ever with the games, they have like conversations between crossover characters, and they get, you know, for a lot of their attacks and stuff, they'll get either archival footage or get the people to come in and voice them. Since Toru Furuya voices Tuxedo Mask and Amuro, and Sailor Moon's original seiyuu, I believe, was also Misato in Evangelion, I think. Some Super Robot person, they always have, like, kind of flirty dialogue together as a joke because they're Tuxedo Mask and Sailor Moon.
Yeah, no, he's a really prolific actor, and he had never played a character like this before, or who looked like that, you know. And he was kind of intimidated by the role. He's like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if this is something that I can do. But Kon was like, no, just be who Tokita ended up being. And then Megumi was saying in the interview, she was like, yeah, at first I was kind of like, I'm supposed to fall in love with this character, and I don't really know, because she, again, imagined he was going to have this, like, voice. But then it's like, with the voice, he really does become so endearing and lovable. And, like, it's such a sweetheart voice.
Yeah.
And, like, so cute. It's like, mystery.
In the dub, he's Yuri Lowenthal, and honestly, I think he gives one of the better performances in the film.
Yeah, because Yuri Lowenthal also has that sort of vocal range of these kind of softer male voices, like not feminine, but like just soft and gentle.
I mean, I just meant his acting in general was good. like his performance of the lines, because especially acting against Cindy Robinson, who voiced Chiba. Like either she was trying to like work with the character, who was obviously like the whole point was she was supposed to be more like reserved and stilted than Paprika, but her lines came off really monotone and uninteresting.
Yeah.
Oh, Cindy Robinson. She's Makoto in Blaze Blue. Okay. Let's get back into themes, because like that's what people tune in for.
Okay.
Something I was trying to... Or like, one thing that like, initially, when I watched this movie, I kind of had a problem with is like, this movie's presupposing the dreams have meaning.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
Which is something that I've lightened up about, even though it's still something I fundamentally believe. But like, because like there was this, I think part of it has to do, differ from person to person. Because like in that interview, they were talking also about like their experiences with like these really effective dreams that they've had, and like I haven't had shit like that, but just the way I dream is that like there's no narrative through line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My
and
dreams
there
are...
wasn't in these dreams.
Yeah, so like I'm always like literally suspicious of people who say they have it. I think they're aliens in suits. But whatever.
Like Konakawa's dream seemed like one of the most realistically
because like what
I've seen.
Yeah, because it's just a mishmash of media he had consumed that week.
Not only is it like it's like a mishmash of things, like it goes from one to the other in rapid succession, but in the dream he just follows it and doesn't question it, and like that's what my dreams always are. I have one dream, but it's really like 5 dreams, but at the time I'm like, this makes absolute sense that I'm a different person in a different place right now, but I was just that other person in that other place, but I'm also the same and it's fine and it makes sense. Then I wake up and I'm like, what?
What an idiot!
Exactly, that's what it was.
Apparently, this soundtrack is significant for being the first film to use a Vocaloid, and
Yep.
I think it's good application of Vocaloid.
Yeah, Lola. This is like like that kind of
the one where it's the one where they play where she turns into the Monkey King.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
and
that was cute. I was like, oh cool,
yeah,
she's a
I
Monkey
think
King. Yeah, I dig it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I think Vocaloids are only good if you use them for weird stuff like this or Puppy Cat. If you try to make an actual song about it, they sound like shit.
Yeah, I mean the
you've got to really lean into the fact that they sound really ethereal and weird. If you try to make it sound like real voices, it doesn't.
Yeah, it was composed by Susumu Hirasawa, and he's known for being kind of an experimental sort of composer, and like he used it. He discovered it and was like, this is pretty cool, and like actually like made some interesting songs with it. And it's a really cool song.
Yeah, I love it.
The whole soundtrack is super cool. It's very different, but it's perfect because I mean it's dream, surreal, subconscious land.
And unlike the soundtrack to Inception, it doesn't drown out 100% of the dialogue.
Yeah.
And it's actually interesting to listen to.
That was the first thing you took away from Inception, was that the music was so fucking loud.
It was so fucking loud. I couldn't hear what anyone was saying. It was a blur, and I was like, "This is the worst.
This is
I
dumb.
hate this. This is dumb. I never understood why in movies they have to make the actors talk so mumbly and quiet so you can barely understand what they're saying, but then the music and everything else is so fucking loud. It's like, why can't these actors just talk clearly? Or if you're gonna have them mumble, get the microphone fucking closer to their goddamn mouth. I can't understand what they're saying.
Yep.
Like, Ken Watanabe is already hard enough to understand without him being drowned out by all this stuff.
No. Don't like it.
What else about this movie? There's definitely more to this movie.
I mean, I feel like it encapsulates Satoshi Kon's whole oeuvre.
Yeah.
If you will. Oeuvre.
I like to say oeuvre.
Because, like, merging, fantasy, reality is part of one of the themes he likes to explore in his films. Exploring film itself and as a fantasy, as like a collective fantasy that we share in. Also, looking into aspects of society that aren't often talked about, mob mentality,
I like in that big final parade when all the people on the street are turning into the things that, like, there's those girls turn into phone heads, and then those guys turn into phone heads and take upskirts.
Yes.
That was it's pretty good goof.
Because he has a huge bone to pick, or he had a huge bone to pick with sort of the kawaii culture of Japan, where everything has to be cute, and also the heavy objectification of women and, like, this sexualization of young girls, and, like, which he explored a lot in Perfect Blue with this whole idol culture and this fan culture of and so that was, like, him playing to the darker aspects of his own culture that he really
the little
despises.
cute dog toy and Paranoia Agent, which by the end was not cute.
Yeah, that's him sort of making fun of that whole culture of just, like, because in Japan everything's cute. Even the fucking, like, men at work traffic signals have fucking mascots, right? And he just sort of saw it as this way to distract ourselves, and by ourselves I mean his culture,
I'm distracted by them
from, like, what's really important, like, you know, just, like, consuming these objects that have no meaning. So a lot of his political stances, his personal stances, a lot of the things he just likes to explore and that he's interested in, you know, the stress of the Japanese businessmen, you know, the famous scene of the singing Japanese businessmen, like, in a chorus line, jumping off the building together. Like, it's very...
Like
comedic.
synchronized
Yeah.
swimmers.
Yeah, like
That's
synchronized
that's exactly
swimmers.
how they jump off the building.
Yeah, it's very comedic, but also very real. Like, and he likes to tackle these sorts of issues. Like, one of my favorite episodes of Paranoia Agent is about, like, this, like, group suicide group, and how, like, they meet over the internet, and it's, like, this very modern Japanese phenomenon, and just sort of, like, really playing with it, both with humor and with more than humor, you know? And that's what he likes to do, because he's so famous for being this trippy guy who breaks the border between reality and dreams and whatever, but he is also really interested in, like, everyday sort of real world, like, problems that people have and society has, and things that people don't want to talk about but are very much apparent. And that's here too. Like, it's all there in this movie.
I like in this promotional image for Paranoia Agent, the plushie looks like it's doing the Soldier Boy.
We'll talk about Paranoia Agent. Definitely.
I would love to.
Oh, it's one of my favorite things he's ever done.
I always would not watch the opening. It was creepy.
It's the point, because it was aired late night, because that was the only way he could air that on TV.
Yeah,
it was designed specifically to wake people up.
He storyboarded the opening.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I think it's a brilliant opening.
It's
so good. So indicative of what the show is about and what a lot of his work is about. But yeah, this film is super fun. It's so imaginative. There's a lot going on, in a way. I mean, if you really want to take, like, a psychoanalytic bite out of it, which it's basically begging you to do, you can go pretty hog wild.
Yeah.
But I've said, I think, the most things that interested me when I watched it, because I've seen it a couple times. Do you guys have any other things that really stood out to you, or you really want to maybe dig into, or...
I kept noticing that all of the robot toys were that same, like, old school Western tin robot with the squid that was all cubes with the claw hands. I didn't like that. I would have liked some gunpla.
Well, that was Tokita's, like, dream avatar. Like,
all I'm saying is 9.5 out of 10. That's all I'm saying.
It's the greatest showtime.
That opening thing with the clown, that's the best setup for this movie. That just lets you know
what you're in for.
Yeah, oh, so good.
Like, immediately, you're like, this is, out of darkness comes light, and out of that light comes...
clowns!
An idea. Clowns.
Oh, yeah, I think we're good.
I think we're pretty much good.
Rent this movie on Amazon. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's a really great...
You want to see it in high definitions.
Oh
yes,
my
you
God.
do. Oh.
You definitely do. It's so much to look at. Like, it's very visually busy.
Yeah, and based on what Teach said, sub is preferable, but dub is adequate.
Yeah, like again, like when I say this all the time. Like if you're kind of person who doesn't want 100% of their attention to have to be dedicated to reading those subtitles, the dub's decent. Like the dub will do the job if that's all you're looking for in a dub, is so you don't have to read subtitles.
Again, with this movie, like you kind of can't not pay attention to it because you'll come back.
I feel like it's actually
confused.
kind of timed out in such a way that most of the really cool to watch stuff happens when people aren't talking. It's not like it's not Tatami Galaxy.
Also, like, if you do want to give it 100% of your attention, you don't have to look down at the bottom of the screen. You can just stare at the whole thing all the time.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely, it goes very highly recommended from an excellent filmmaker.
Honestly, like every time we do a Satoshi Kon thing, these are always some of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
These and Watanabe.
Yeah, because there's like. He's just really good at making movies. Like, he understands the craft, and he also tells interesting stories.
I just like people who are good at making stuff.
Definitely. Alright, so we shall leave this for now.
Yep.
E.